It's Thursday, June 5th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central. This is show number 953, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Get a managed WordPress site for $1 per month and a free domain at GoDaddy, or pick up a domain for just $1.99. All of my specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Everybody got a great show lined up for you tonight. You know what comes next? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, and I want to welcome you to the show tonight. It's been kind of an interesting week, as it always is here at the studio at Geek News Central. And tonight it started off with me getting ready to go live with the show and finding out that live.geeknewscentral.com was redirecting to geeknewscentral.com. And I think a DNS, or not a DNS change, an Apache change we made 2 days ago screwed something up, and it was something that I missed. So I sent an email to Angelo tonight and said, you need to look at this in the morning. So maybe the explanation of something else is going on. We've had some challenges in getting WordPress multi-site set up to get we thought everything was ready to go, and then something quit working. So maybe it's just all tied back to the Apache config. We'll figure it out. But hey, that's real geeky. But I got lots of great news and tech for you tonight. So thanks for being here. And of course, I want to give a warm welcome to all of the Ohana, all the longtime listeners of the show. And of course, the new folks are checking out the show for the very first time, the new family members. Thanks for coming in and joining the Ohana here. And I thought I had, I am like beyond unorganized tonight and being ready for the show. That goes to say right now, because I'm clicking buttons I should have already had loaded. And, of course, we want you to take time. Get over to geeknewscentral.com and check out all the great content on the website. The writers are doing a great job. And, of course, get subscribed to the podcast. All the podcasts on the website. Robot Underpants, The Gadget Professor, New Media Show. This show, of course, as well. And the newsletter is really the place where I'm going to be able to connect with you the easiest. And that's where I'm going to send you all the links and all the commentary from today's show directly to your inbox, and you'll have that fresh there to follow along when you listen to the show. But again, that's the main important thing, is get over and signed up for the newsletter and for the feed, and that way we'll stay connected forever and forever. And of course, you can reach me on Twitter. @Geek News is the Twitter account. And you can find me on email as well at geeknews@gmail.com. The show can be found on the Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, Chromecast, what else? Soon to be Apple Fire TV. I mean, not Apple, Amazon Fire TV. So giving credit where credit isn't due. But that app isn't quite updated yet. We're not quite ready to launch it, but I'm hoping, knock on wood here, very, very quickly. We've been busy. Just incredibly busy, and I took a few days. Of course, yesterday was my birthday. I hit the big 50 yesterday, so we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But things have been nuts, and it's just going to continue right into to next week. But hey, of course, let's knock the sponsor spot out here, and I want to thank good friends over at GoDaddy.com for being a longtime supporter of this show. Really what it is now is July of 2005. So we're 11 months and some days here that, 9 years and 11 months that they, actually 8 years and 9 months, because they did, is that right? 14, yeah. So it would have been 2015 would make 10. But Lots of great products and services, and there's really no way you can go wrong if you come over to my website. And what I want you to do is just scroll down the website. You're going to see the link, GoDaddy promo codes. Click on that link. That's going to load the web page with all the codes. And there's some great ones there. That 32% off code, still rocking and rolling, folks. So you get 32% off new purchases. The 25% code allows you to get 25% off your order. Discounts include a new top-level domain as well. So in TLD, the new TLD extensions, so like the .guru and .photo and all those new TLDs are part of that 25% off. So definitely consider getting over there. Now, the new stuff that they introduced for June and is really fantastic is the $1 a month WordPress hosting with a free domain, and it really is an incredible offer just for $1 a month, and that's for the first year. Definitely check out the offer limitations for what the price increase is the following year, but it's fully managed and hundreds of designs. They really make it easy for you to start using GoDaddy. Now, the other promotion is $1.99.com by using the promo code GNC199. And then we've got the Geek 12, which is $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain as well. See the features on that. Links will be up in the show notes. And then I got a whole bunch of other stuff. 50% off just a variety of stuff. Mix and match. Try to play with them when you get to the checkout counter, and hopefully we'll get you saved. Well, we're going to save you some money. Depends on how much, but just mix and match till you find the best deal. And I think you'll be happy when you pick up the products over there. I've renewed, I think last week, I renewed about maybe 100 domains. It was time. I had a block of them that were renewing. Some of them I'm letting expire. But what I do because I've got so many domains, I pay like $60 over there for bulk domain service. And basically, that gives me some additional features and a cheaper price on renewals. So when I can't find a renewal code, it automatically locks in the lowest prices they can give me just by I prepay that. But you have to have the type of volume I have in domain names to make that really worthwhile. And so definitely check it out. Do the math. It doesn't take that many domains, believe it or not, to get your savings back. I think I saved about $600 on I did a 2-year renewal on all those domains. And yeah, that adds up pretty quick when it comes to how much it costs to maintain that many domains. But all it takes, I just sell maybe 1 or 2 domains a year, and it really pays for all my playing around in the domain namespace, and I've got a ton of them. Okay, so anyway, we thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor here, and definitely check them out. GeekNewsCentral.com/GoDaddy is where the promo codes are at, and use them, share them with your friends, family members, people that you know, and we definitely appreciate it. So I just want to give you a final update here. This is not the final, but I'll give you some continuation stuff. But you guys know I was on that 10-day losing weight dealio with Purium. mypurium.com/podcast, and that really worked out well. In the scale, when I stepped on the scale at day 10 in my birthday suit, I think it was like 203.5 or 202.5. It was really between, I think 202.5, like 13 to 14 pounds. That's right where it was at. Now, here's what I've been watching ever since I've come off. Now, this is day 3 of being off the program, and first 2 days I really didn't go on the flip-flop where I was on a day, off a day, and didn't eat a lot that first day, largely because I just couldn't. The stomach was pretty small. Yesterday, because of my 50th birthday, we went large and had a huge meal last night. So when I stepped on the scale this morning, and of course that was after a huge meal the night before, it was a little higher than I wanted it to be, but tonight, just before the show, I stepped on, and this is, after today I kind of went back on the program, I was right at about 13 pounds down, so right there hovering, right close to where I was at before, so I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it, but now I'm going to go on an every other day continuation program and watching what I eat on those middle days, with the exception of yesterday. So I'm pretty happy with the results so far, and we'll see what happens over the next 20 days or so. Now, my travel next week is going to definitely impact the schedule a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to, I'm going to Texas for the first 2 days. It's really hard to go to Texas and be good. Just all those different types of foods I've got down south that I really love. So I'm going to have to really control myself in a big way. But me in Houston on the 10th and 11th, fly out the 9th and 11th, go to L.A. I'm in L.A. all day on the 12th. I've got multiple meetings in L.A. I fly out of L.A. late the night of the 11th. I get into San Francisco that night. Then the 12th is the morning of the 12th. I have 2 meetings in town. Then I leave out of San Francisco and I drive up to Petaluma. I'm going to go out and visit the Twit studio, meet with the Twit team, and then I'll be back here Saturday the 13th. So next week you're going to have 2 guest hosts. I think you're going to have Don Bain on Monday and then another guest host on Thursday. So Don doesn't know it yet. If he's listening, Don, I've got you for Monday. I'll email you later. But so anyway, we'll have 2 guest hosts next week. I won't be here. It'll be audio only next week. Don't look for any video. So that's kind of what's going on. But, things get old. And my TV in the living room, I think, has finally took a crap. I've had this thing for, a lot of years. And it's a Sony 60-inch projection screen. So, yeah, it's old. And I think tonight it wouldn't, the HDMI signal, it like flickers. And it won't sync up on an HDMI signal. I tried a different cable. That didn't work. So maybe I have a television purchase forthcoming. And my wife doesn't know yet. She'll monkey with it for 2 or 3 hours before she gives up. So maybe she can get it to work. But we knew we were due, and we really made this thing last a long time. So it was in our old house too. So it's been maybe 12 or 13 years, I would think, on this particular TV. Can't complain that long. Pretty good results. But my daughter's watching TV tonight in the bedroom on the smaller one that hangs on the wall. Okay, so this coming weekend, we got new media show. A CEO of Spreaker is going to be on. Rob and I will be talking with him. So look forward to that interview. Hope that you guys will, those of you that are interested in the new media space, will join me on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Also, I think we're all caught up with everything with the insiders, but definitely want to thank everyone that has continued to contribute to the show. You can start with a donation low at 6.7 cents a day at geeknewscentral.com/insider. And let Sam know at insider@geeknewscentral.com that you are, and he'll get you on the insider mailing list and so forth. All right, I think that wraps it up. Let's get into the content. I got a great stack of stuff tonight for you. Actually, when I was loading all of the emails for everything that I found, not emails, but all of the actual articles. I had like 60 articles, and I had to purge down the number of articles. So this isn't by no means everything that I was going to cover. Hey, I do want to thank Axeman 1971 in the chat room. He says, "Yeah, I can see the." Yeah, my wife says too. She can see the weight loss in my face. And that's where it goes. It goes in those places you don't really, the face and the gut's always the last. But I have a plan, and 199 is a forthcoming goal that I hope to reach, and we'll see how long it takes me to get there. But it's I'm going to tell you, it's tough. It's tough staying. I was out of the house all day today. And it was tough staying away from that good stuff. It really is. You have to have some extreme willpower. Hawaii is too, man. It says the grinds here are so good and so bad at the same time. But anyway, that's nothing about tech. So let's start off. So Verizon. Well, first of all, those of you who have Netflix, have you seen a little pop-up on your Netflix stream that basically says, "Hey, we're your provider's having trouble"? Well, this is interesting. Netflix is starting now to put in the Netflix screen, and it started with Verizon. A little pop-up window that said the Verizon network is crowded right now. We're adjusting video for smoother playback. And so basically this is a little warning they're popping up on the screen when you hit something to play on Netflix. So I saw this yesterday and I thought, oh man, this is going to get large. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong. Well, sure enough, it didn't take less than 24 hours, and Verizon have sent Netflix a cease and desist letter over streaming quality warnings. They are not at all happy, and actually, the folks at Netflix had no problem. They put that piece right up online for everyone to see, and they are in a word not happy. Talking about false accusations, potential to harm the Verizon brand. The potential harm is broader than only the experience of a customer viewing Netflix content, but they are. This is lawsuit time, folks. This is not gonna end. And what it really boils down to, and I think Netflix, and I'm glad they've got the guts to do this. They're basically, and even though they supposedly have a peering arrangement with Netflix and other providers, they are saying, hey, there's an issue. We have got the bandwidth to send this to you, but your provider's network is crowded and we can't get it through to you fast enough. And I think there's definitely some shaky ground here. So Netflix is probably going to have to, for a better word, explain very carefully how they're coming up with this reasoning. Now, if they're smart, they're pinging our boxes or tracing to our devices, and they're getting the travel time of that content. They're figuring out what the lag is and everything else, and they can see what speed they're feeding a stream to us at. So, but basically, Netflix is ready for a fight, and they say that this is all about net neutrality, and they're going to call a spade, and I think this is great. They say the principle of the internet traffic shouldn't receive different speeds based on what is or who it comes from. And this is basically Netflix's argument. So we know that it isn't in the eye of the FCC in this, because they're kind of wussing out on us. But Netflix may have to lead the fight on this, and I think they're going to do that with these warnings. But Netflix has came back and said, and named a specific user. They've said, we want all the data that you have that made this determination. Well, let me read this. In light of this, now this, I'll let you guys read the whole thing. In light of this, Verizon demands Netflix immediate cease and desist from providing any such further notices to users of Verizon network. We further demand that within 5 days from the date of this letter, that Netflix provide Verizon with any and all evidence and documentation that it possesses substantiating Netflix assertion of Mr. Yuri Victor that his experience in viewing a Netflix video is solely attributed to the Verizon network, and that Netflix also provide a list of all Netflix customers on the Verizon network to whom Netflix has delivered such message, with the date and time that each message was displayed for each user and the purported substantiation for it. Failure to provide this information may lead us to pursue legal remedies, and Verizon reserves all right in that regard. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm telling you, they are. This is going to lead to a lawsuit, and Netflix says we're not backing down. It ain't happening. This is not going to happen. Now, this isn't only going to be rolled out for Verizon. Netflix network congestion message is going to roll out on all ISPs, not just Verizon. And so this is interesting. And apparently these messages are already showing up on multiple networks, and it's also rolling out in a phased deployment. They're not everywhere yet, but will be soon. Netflix has confirmed that they will display the messages whether they or not have a direct connection, paid or free, in place with the ISP. Netflix said their goal in doing this is to help their subscribers understand when their home experience is degrading based on their network provider as opposed to their home Wi-Fi. When Netflix feels that many clients experiencing congestion on a certain segment of a certain ISP's network, they will display the message for clients who are experiencing the degradation. So they're not doing it willy-nilly, and but we don't know how Netflix is doing this. But it's on. Oh, they did an update. Netflix says their methodology is if you are streaming from an ISP designated market area pair where 1, the average bit rate is poor, 2, there's high congestion, the ratio between peak and third traffic is abnormally compressed, and 3, they see a high percentage of sessions with a rebuffer, then the player displays the warning during the initial buffering at play start. If those criteria are met and the user is actually streaming at a low bit rate, SD or below, then Netflix also displays an indicator if the play control bar is activated during the playback. That's how it works now, but Netflix may modify tune as they continue to roll out and learn more. So this is going to be good. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm impressed that they're doing it, and let's see if their bank account can afford it. Because I can guarantee that Netflix, Comcast, Charter, Time Warner, AT&T, they're all going to sue them for basically trying to harm their brand. But it's time to call a spade, right? All right, very cool. So let's move on a little bit here, and here's where it boils down to. The media space is changing, and there's predictions that Netflix will soon make more money than movie theaters. They expect that crossover to happen sometime in 2017, 2018 timeframe. If they look at the current growth of Netflix and what's happening with movie theater box office receipts. And this is a big deal. With Netflix revenue growing much faster than what the box office has done, because they're not necessarily declining. They're increasing just a little bit. But what's going to happen here is the space is going to be changed, and Netflix wants to make sure they're going to be able to continue to serve media to all of us for many years to come. Switching gears here completely, we know that Arrow is in a pitch battle for their existence. They've got a Supreme Court ruling pending that could really be huge in whether or not they survive. But for those of you that are using Arrow or have access to their service, they finally bring live television to your $35 Chromecast. So if you have the Arrow subscription and the basically have the ability now to basically use Chromecast to view your Arrow stuff from your pad or from your mobile device onto your television set. So this is pretty cool. That's been added. All right, media outlets love to use citizen journalism, but many times they don't like to say where they got their information. This is a great report, and it's over on GigaOM, and this is a group, Columbia's Tow Center for Digital Media, did a study. And what they did, the TOW study was done, the TOW study was put together by a former staffer at Storyful, which is a company that tracks and verifies user-generated content for large media entities. And they were recently acquired by News Corp, and fellow media researcher Sam Dubberly and Pete Boyd did some research, and they looked at a huge amount of data. Now, what they figured out was that, and let me get into the meat of this, is that, example, Al Jazeera English had total number of pieces of user-generated content at 386. The percent of credits they gave was 1%. BBC World had 254 with 9% of that being credited. CNN International had 355 with 53% being accredited. Euronews had 415 UGCs with 15% being credited. France 24 had 270 with 1% being accredited. NHK had 144 with 4% being accredited, and Telesur 34% with 0% being attributed. So what really is happening here is they're using user-generated content, but they're not telling anyone where it's at or where they found it or who they got it from or the person that owns it. So they're basically trying to use fair use completely to their advantage and not giving any credit whatsoever. Now, on the web, they were just a little bit better. Al Jazeera had 5 pieces that used user-generated content, and they had 100% attribution compared to 1%. BBC World had 78 with 49%. CNN had 450 with 79%. Euronews had 53 with 13%. France 24 had 114 with 15%. NHK used 0 pieces of UGC on web. And Telesur, batting 1,000, had 3 pieces of UGC with 0 attribution. So many times these companies don't even know where the media came from, which is pretty incredible. Sometimes they didn't even add a descriptive label to the content. They just put it up and then dropped it. But if viewers and folks like you and I are going to be the source of this user-generated content, we have to protect it. We really do. The speed at which news gathering has changed is pretty astonishing. And one journalist who works on a user-generated content desk admitted hearing people say, "Why would we want to use this? Look at the quality of mobile footage. Who would be interested in it?" Now, when a major story happens, everyone is beating the UGC door. We're all the first port of call for their content. And so what it really boils down to here is that 72% of user-generated content was not labeled or described as user-generated content. Only 16% of user-generated content on TV had an on-screen credit overall. And they looked at an incredible amount of media. They looked at 1,000 hours of television output and over 2,000 web pages published by, again, 8 different international broadcasters. But so they're using this stuff for free and building their business on it, but yet not giving any credit or even paying for access to that media, only in a rare case where someone is smart enough to control it and tries to sell a story and so forth to someone earns any cash. But they're just going up and grabbing it off YouTube or Pinterest or someplace where someone has dropped a picture or a graphic and they're using it and giving no credit, saying, we'll get away with it. And oftentimes they do. Switching gears here a little bit, U.S. review of music licensing smells trouble for internet radio. And this is kind of scary. The Justice Department said this week it will review World War II era antitrust rules that limit how music publishers can license their songs. This sounds reasonable enough, but make no mistake here. The process is less about modernizing music rules than it's about helping industry insiders, the incumbents, television, radio, and everyone else bash internet radio services like Pandora. And we know that there's quite a Pandora's box or a rabbit hole or whatever you want to call it that that's really facing these folks that if they make changes could really upset the apple cart. We know that there's been a consent decree in place, and that consent decree has worked well historically because it serves up a fair-reaching collection agents for songwriters, while also providing a one-stop licensing shop for radio stations and anyone else who wants to play music in public. And that is under major stress because you got companies like ASCAP and BMI who are unhappy, who had contributed a lot of money to Congress. And they have lobbyists that are there pounding their doors down saying our artists are not getting paid enough. We want more money. So we'll see. But this could change the whole model once again. And it's just, again, the entrenched establishment trying to change the rules. All right, there's a good article on ours talking about, and it's entitled "They're Back." Browser sniffing ghosts return to haunt Chrome, IE, and Firefox. Now, apparently Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Firefox are vulnerable again to easy execute technologies that allow unscrupulous websites to conduct detailed histories of site visits, basically where you've been, what you've viewed. And we kind of thought this was wrapped up. A few years ago, there was a lot of this that was shut down. But, users were given some options a couple of years ago. But once again, the folks have changed their tactics here. And it appears that Chrome, IE, and Firefox are once again susceptible to this browser history sniffing. And, they can look and see if you visited an adult website, Facebook, Gmail, wherever you've been. And this guy that did the experiment said his attack code was relatively modest, checking only one site when the target computer was under heavy load. But a lot of details here on, once again, they've developed new ways to sniff out what we're doing on our PCs and when we're on the web, which is pretty crazy, and someone's going to have to make some changes so we don't have that situation continuing. All right, let me talk just a little bit here about one of the Pirate Bay founders. We know that Pirate Bay founder Gottfried Servaltom is in custody on suspicion of hacking into the mainframe computers of a Danish IT company. But apparently there's new evidence that had been made public during most recent court hearings that shows that his computer had been compromised, giving credence to his defense claim that someone else carried out the attacks. So apparently his machine just had all kinds of bad stuff on it. And you'd think a computer guy like him would have had a clean machine, but it wasn't. The computer contained several threats dating back to 2011. Include Trojans and exploits that could have allowed an outsider to take control of the machine, and they're going to try to use that angle in getting him off the charges. We'll see where this leads and if he'll get off or not, but he's still sitting in prison. Mega Upload is in the news. They're protesting movie and recording studios' asset freezing game. Now, here's an interesting development. Basically, New Zealand High Court had previously said that it would not extend the foreign restraining order against Mega Upload's assets, and if the government loses the appeal, Mega Upload's fortune will be released. And fearing that Mega Upload and its accused employees would quickly move the millions in assets, the movie studios have started a civil asset freezing request in New Zealand this week to try to basically get his assets frozen, not criminally but civilly. And but a new filing submitted to the U.S. federal court, Mega Upload is hoping to put a stop to those efforts. The folks at Torrent Frank talked to the Mega Upload lawyer, and she said the recording and film studios are engaging in a procedural game to try to freeze Kim.com's assets so they, in the DOJ, can win on procedure and not on merits. But basically, they're trying to keep the cash flow going so this guy can pay his legal team and he can fight these folks. But the movie studios and recording studios are trying to get that shut down. So we'll see where this leads, and if it continues, if his assets get locked out, he may not have much of a fighting chance. Only time will tell on this, and we'll keep an eye on this particular story. Apparently, the folks that are out there pirating media, they like streaming, but they don't completely abandon ship. So what we're finding out, specifically in Denmark, is that a study was done where they looked at 1,180 Danish adults between 20 and 65, and they figured out that illegal consumption of movies sits at about 5.1 million copies. This is down from 5.8 reported in 2012. TV shows tell a similar story. In 2012, around 10 million TV shows were pirated, a figure that dropped to 8.1 million in 2013 and dropped to 7.9 million copies this year. But at the same time, there's been a huge increase in folks who have subscribed to streaming services like Netflix and so forth. But still, people are still pirating in a big way, even though they've had an influx of streaming services. I don't think this should come as a surprise, but there is some indication that folks that are using streaming services are not pirating as much stuff as they used to, which makes a lot of sense. Hey, over on Gizmo, I had to laugh at this one. You just never know what people are going to sell. But a new company out there selling candles, and these candles are kind of unique. They come in different scents. One is, excuse me if you grossed out here a little bit. One is skid marks. One is dog vomit. One is urinal cakes. And the list goes on. These candles put off that kind of a smell as you burn them. So if you're looking for a nice gag gift to give a friend, probably a guy, not a gal, for $14.99, you can have one of these to basically, share with your friend. Oh man, I am not going to be buying any of those for sure. I'm not even going to tell you the name of the company because it's almost gross in itself. But I will have a link up in the show notes if you're interested in picking up one of these as a gag gift for someone you may know. Might work out good for a bachelor party or something like that. Okay, so we're all carrying batteries around, right? We all, no one's going a full day without getting on a charger. But they're selling a bracelet now that basically, if you unhook it, lets you share power to those in need. So if you get extra juice on your phone, you hook it in between, it allows you to charge your buddy's phone. It actually doesn't have a battery in it, but it's called a donor cable. And it's a pretty cool concept here. I'll have the link in the show notes for you to check out. A little space news. NASA's first Orion spacecraft has got its world's largest heat shield attached to it. And so basically the heat shield has met its ride. And they're saying we're still on schedule for a December initial test flight, which is cool. Also, I love looking at space images, and the folks over at space.com have a great one today for their Image of the Day gallery. I have a link up in the show notes for you. Some of these images are just incredible and make great screen backgrounds that you can check out. Those of you that are on Android, be aware there's a Trojan app out there that encrypts files on Android devices and then asks for a ransom. This is not good. A new threat dubbed Android Simp Locked Out Alpha was identified by researchers from antivirus firm ESET over the weekend. And while it's not the first ransomware program for Android, it is the first one seen by the company that holds files hostage by encrypting them. This app will, or basically this application will scan an SD card for files with any of the following images: documents, video extensions, JPEG, JPG, PNG, BMP, GIF, PDFs, docs, docx, text, AVIs, MKV, 3GP, MP4, and encrypt them. And if you want to get them unlocked, you have to pay them $21.40 to get the unlock code. So beware out there if you're using an Android phone. Folks are answering for ransomware here for unlocking your device. Facebook is apparently moving to a single column in their design, and they're making a big change here. And I don't know how many of you have seen this yet. I don't think I have, but the design basically has a little tighter move to have the basically more on the home page. And for those of you that haven't seen this yet, new design is up in the link. They're just trying to stay ahead of the curve here, I guess. I wish they just quit sending junk to me, though. I keep seeing all this junk stuff in the feeds. I'm not finding stuff that's from my family members and friends anymore. It's really too bad. All right, Google has announced, or basically showed off today, something called Project Tango. It's a 3D mapping project that has a tablet associated with it. It's specifically for devs. And some of you think, why do I need a 3D tablet? Well, it sounds a little bit, overkill. But what they want to do is they want to be able to they want to do some develop some apps. For example, if you're wandering aimlessly through a Home Depot to find something small, if you install the app that guides you through the store, it'll basically almost be like an indoor GPS. Or instead, if you're imagining how a sofa looks in your house, you get to take a picture of this thing, and then you can virtually actually place it in your living room with the right dimensions and so forth, actually see how it would look. Same thing with going and buying appliances and that type of stuff. So this is pretty cool. People are pretty excited about this. I think it'll have some unique use cases once it's ready. But this is still pretty much bleeding edge. But this is what these kind of skunk work projects do. And ultimately will end up in some sort of product that will hopefully improve the way we do things, save us time, the whole 9 yards. But pretty cool video up. I have it linked up. Google pretty much showed it off. Also, Time.com has a list of the 50 best iPhone apps. And some of these I am not at all familiar with. And some of these are pretty good. AnyDo. There's no shortage of to-do list, but AnyDo is a knack for trying to tying important features together. So that's a cool one. Those of you that have babies right now, there's a baby monitor application out there that's pretty good. Excuse me. They've got Beer Buddy, Carousel for Dropbox. We've got Easily Do, Endless TV, Fantastical 2, Feedly, Find My iPhone. Of course, we all like that app. Flipboard, Gas Buddy, just goes on and on. So these are 50 apps that they're recommending. Definitely check these out. There's a few here that I'm actually going to go buy that I read through and I thought these are pretty cool. But a great list, a great starter list. If you've got a new phone, maybe looking to fill it with apps, this might be a great place to start. Also, there's a great op-ed in the New York Times that basically talks about the copper that's in the ground and how AT&T and Verizon are pushing hard to shift traditional landline services, which is mostly operated over copper lines, to a system of internet-based phones by 2020. Now, if the FCC approves the switch as is, it could come to a shock to the 96 million Americans who still rely on landlines. And we know this change is coming, but there has to be rules in place. The old copper lines are aging and they're very expensive to maintain. And with the new system already in use, with 42 million Americans having internet-based phones, they want some stuff put in place so that companies like AT&T are still held to regulatory providing universal access and fair prices to consumers. They feel that this will end up in being something costing us a lot more. And but anyways, a good op-ed in the New York Times. I'll have a link up for you to take a peek at. All right, over on Yahoo, University of Michigan is building a fake city to test autonomous cars. This is pretty good. Of course, we know that GM and Ford are largely based in Michigan, but the folks at the University of Michigan are trying to get ahead of this automated car stuff, and maybe this will become what they're referring to as a transformation facility, and has stoplights, railroad crossings, building facades, and even fake pedestrians. And so they're going to do some, autonomous car driving in there. It'd be very, very cool. Maybe they're going to be building their own. Also, over on Yahoo News, there was a pretty interesting GoPro video. Shows a guy that's in South Africa who was riding his bike, who basically got held up at gunpoint by 3 thugs and stole everything that was on his body, minus his clothes and the GoPro that was on the helmet of the helmet he was wearing. And obviously these idiots didn't know what the GoPro was, or they would have took that too, because great video of these guys robbing this guy, and a couple of them had already been arrested. So I like it. I really, really do. Nice to see when technology gets the bad guys. Also, if you're traveling internationally, please remember that your cell phone, you're either going to turn the data off and the cell off, or you want to get an international plan. Some folks have seen as much as $750 for a 1 minute of international data roaming, and that includes when you're getting close to the border. Be real careful, especially like up visiting Niagara Falls. You could easily switch onto a cell system, basically across the border. So be real careful when you're traveling this summer to make sure that you don't get whacked with some crazy data charges. Also on that botnet takedown, apparently that shut down the CryptoLocker ransomware program that had been so prolific and basically costing people a lot of money. There's a good write-up on that on computerworld.com. How many of you have been shopping and you thought, man, I'd like to make some lasagna tonight. What do I need? Well, there's a pretty cool trick that you can use on your mobile device. All you have to search for is just, basically take your Android phone out and search for lasagna or lasagna recipes. And one of the things that Google shows or will display for you or makes available is an ingredient list, so that you can basically go through and pick up the products that you need, and you've got the ability to actually check it off in the in the actual browser. Now, here's how it works. First, you open up Chrome and do a search for the type of food you want to cook. Once Google has retrieved some recipes for you, click on the More tab at the top of the search results, and then click on Search Tools when the drop-down menu pops up. This will bring up several different options to help you refine your search for recipes, including recipes of a limited calorie count, cook times, and yes, recipes that either use or don't use common ingredients found in the dishes. So this is pretty cool. So a new way to use your cell phone when you're shopping, trying to make sure you've got all the ingredients for a specific dish that you're going to want to make. Also, there's a great app out there called ISS Above. This can be run on a Raspberry Pi. It tells you when the International Space Station is visible from your part of the world, and so pretty cool. I think this was built on a Kickstarter, so pretty slick little program that runs on a Raspberry Pi. How many of you have got one of those? I don't. I just don't have the time to play with one. I'd like to, but maybe a lot of my buddies have them. Maybe sometime I'll have to pick one up. All right, Comcast commissioned a study. Again, Comcast commissioned a study to basically say Comcast data meters are accurate. Comcast paid a company to do an audit that basically give them a thumbs up or thumbs down on how accurate their data was. They hired a company called Net Forecast, and it detailed the cumulative accuracy results of 569,376 measurements at 55 Comcast service locations for a 3-month period. Now, they're very happy because Comcast says we want our measurement stuff to be within plus or minus 1%. The company said they did better than that. Their meter is within 0.75, again, within 0.75% of their test case stuff. So maybe their meter actually does work, maybe. But if I'm paying a company to verify my data speed, I'm sure my report is going to turn out pretty positive if it's somewhere close. All right, another article over on Yahoo. If you're in Korea and you are a relative to the owner of Samsung, apparently the Samsung heirs, the 2 kids, are going to face one of the biggest inheritance tax bills ever. By some calculations, the Samsung owner's net worth is $12 billion. South Korea has a 50% inheritance tax. So the kids are going to be on the hook for about $6 billion to pay the South Korean government when their father passes off, who has been in bad health. And there's a lengthy article here, everything you want to know about South Korean inheritance tax and some of the stuff that they're trying to do to lessen that. But also there's this perception thing, because the general public, those folks have to pay that as well. And they're not going to be happy if the Samsung heirs find a way to circumvent paying their fair share. Now, if this doesn't make you go, nothing will. A routine request in Florida for public records regarding the use of a surveillance tool known as Stingray took an extraordinary turn recently when federal authorities seized the documents before police could release them. This is pretty crazy. So when the public makes a request on these, a public request, a freedom of information request for Stingray information, the federal authorities come in and grab everything up. They've invoked Home Security Act to prevent the release of such records, and the feds are working very hard to block anything to get out to the public. Wow. They did these federal agencies were doing physical raids on state records in order to conceal them from public view. This was in the ACLU blog post today. It makes you go wonder. That application must be pretty impressive. All right, how many of you, maybe some of you have had a recent breakup with a girlfriend or a spouse? And it's always can be a traumatic time mentally for folks, and sometimes people get physically sick over breakups. But one young man, his girlfriend decided to cheat on him. But the girlfriend wanted him back, and they had an exchange on basically a text exchange where he posted the text on Twitter. And fellas, you can take a few pointers from this young man. He was pretty good and witty in his responses, without going totally off the deep end and being mean. He used his wit, and the ladies will get a kick out of this too. Once you read this, I'm sure it's going to bring a smile to your face. But I don't know how this guy thought on his feet that fast to come up with the responses that he did, but they're pretty good. Well, there's some pissed off Chinese folks, and they're basically saying that Windows 8 is and basically Windows 9, future Windows 9, are compromised, and they don't want them in their government offices. And they're telling the Chinese people, don't be using this because it's calling home to mama and sending data. So Microsoft, and along with other tech companies, have a lot of issues right now based upon all this stuff that was happening with Snowden and the stuff that he released. So anyway, the backlash continues. What would you do without a cell phone? Could you live without one? Some folks do, and the folks that are living without a cell phone think that we become a completely disconnected society, and we're really not staying with reality. So I've got a great article for you to read over in CNET about a guy who is a huge bond fund manager. This guy is probably pretty wealthy. I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to read. It's some good commentary. It really, really is. There's also a great article over on blogs.channel.4.com talking about the man behind the Swiss Army knife for hackers, Game Over Zeus. I have that link up in the show notes. Good write-up about this guy. And, of course, he's on the FBI's cyber most wanted list. I'll have that link up for you. All right. Got a bunch of cool things here at the end as we get down to the last bit of content tonight. I've actually got a pretty good stack left for you, but a gentleman in the UK took a email spammer to court, and based upon the law, he won a nice little settlement from him. He was able to get about 1,700 euros for basically being spammed by one specific company. And you should read through this if you send stuff out on an email list on how to avoid ending up in court with someone suing you for sending them spam. It's not surprising that the CEOs of AOL, Apple, Dropbox, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Twitter, and Yahoo all agree that there's more need to be done to reform government snooping capabilities. And basically, tech CEOs are pushing the U.S. Senate for stronger surveillance reform. There's been some pushback in the Senate by some Republicans and Democrats saying we don't have to change anything in basically what's going on with the federal agency that's been in the news a lot. So it just means that I think it's just going to continue to be the same. I don't think there's going to be any change, even after all this release of information. If you're a system administrator, I'm sure you've heard about the OpenSSL bug. This is something similar to Heartbleed. You definitely want to check out the 6 security vulnerabilities that have been updated and do an update to OpenSSL as soon as possible, and look at the version control too on this article to make sure you get the latest version. MRSAT in the UK is going to be improving in-flight Wi-Fi networks. They're working on some technology and also getting dishes into aircraft. So that may spell good news for all of you that fly in Europe to get some good connectivity between gate to gate. Also, how many of you watched Ghostbusters recently? I be honest with you, I think I watched Ghostbusters once or twice, 30 years ago. But in honor of the 30th anniversary, Ghostbusters have been restored, remastered, and released in over 700 movie theaters nationwide. I am okay. Why did they do this? But this is something that is available, and they've basically reworked the film. I guess it looks a lot better. So I don't know why I'd want to go see Ghostbusters again, but maybe you're into it. All right, Facebook tunes in on your surroundings despite protest. So listen to this. Just how much control should an app over your life? Well, sometime the second half of May this year, there was information released that Facebook rely on Shazam-like technology in order to figure out just what you're listening to or watching with the help of your mobile device's microphone. None of us are real happy with them, the idea of them turning on our mic and listening to what we're doing, but this has been rolled out, and you have to opt. I think you have to opt out of the microphone being turned on. Maybe not, but let me look at this. Let me read the. Is there actually does it tell how it works? It doesn't. But there's been a petition that's been signed by a huge number of people that are protesting this as well, saying that they're going too far. But I have a link up in the show notes for you to review, and I get details on this this new feature that Facebook's using to check us out when they're not supposed to be. All right, the SEC is cracking down on high-speed trading. Looks like they're trying to even it up a little bit. The high-speed traders have gotten so good that, you and I as a investor just no way can we compete with the basically the high-speed trading going on the market today. But the SEC is looking to make a change, and we'll keep you advised on how that goes. All right, I'm running out of gas here tonight, folks. Sorry about that. Let's skip that one. Virginia officials are basically trying to get Uber shut down. They don't want Uber or Lyft to operate in the state. And they're going to start slapping them with the penalties if they do. But they've received a cease and desist letter from the state of Virginia. Interesting move by that state, that's for sure. Come with the program, Now, if you want to appear in Game of Thrones and you want to get killed, well, you can do that for just $20,000. George R.R. Martin is raising money for charities, including an incredible New Mexico wolf sanctuary, and the top incentive involves your grisly death in an upcoming Song of Ice and Fire novel. So I guess you'll be read into it and actually be written out as well. And but you got to make a donation of $20,000. And you can be killed in his upcoming book. Very, very cool. Game of Thrones. U.S. Secret Service wants software to detect sarcasm on social media. Of course, anytime it says something negative about the president, the Secret Service has to review that. They're trying to reduce the number of false positive. So they're trying to develop software with basically the ability to detect sarcasm. I don't know how you do that in written word. I really, really don't. If that's going to be able, if they can make that happen or not. But that's what they're going to do. And we'll see where it leads and whether or not it's successful with it or not. All right, iOS 8 Beta 1 has already been jailbroke. So if you've got the beta, you can drop the jailbreak and into the phone and basically be good to go to do what you want. So a link will be up in the show notes with that. The feds are saying Amazon Cloud may be used for healthcare data. So with certain restrictions put in place, the healthcare folks are going to be able to drop data on the cloud, which is kind of an interesting move that they would actually authorize that. So time will tell where that leads. If you're a Vine user, Vine has made the jump to the TV screen with an upcoming Xbox One app. You can't get podcasting in the Xbox One, but you can get a stupid app like Vine in there. Also, there's a great article about tracking Detroit's decay through Google Street View. And basically, they look at Street View pictures over time. It starts out with a fairly decent house in a residential neighborhood to basically a house tore down and the garage destroyed and just garbage and stuff. Using Google Street View Time Machine, people have been documenting the neglect of Detroit's metro and looking at the variety of houses there. So it's pretty crazy. And, we all know Detroit's in bad shape, but once you see this, you'll realize really how bad shape. And finally, I love this. My wife has a fantastic dishwasher, and we bought it a few years after we got in this house, spent good money on it. It works great, but she still washes her pans all by hand and puts them in one of those drainers, and that thing drives me nuts. It just takes up way too much room. I found the perfect thing. It's $27. It's a roll-up sink rack. It fits across your entire sink. You can put your stuff that you're doing there, work there, rinse it off, and roll it up. $27. I'm there. No doubt in my mind. This gets rid of that junky thing that sits on the counter. She's going to see this. She's going to flip. I'm not even going to tell her. I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to throw the other piece away and put this on the counter, and she's going to get mad. I'm going, oh, don't worry. You can put it away. Just wash it off and roll it up. This is smart. So I'm going to tell you, this is a cool thing, folks. Fellas, get your ladies one of these. Good $27 spent. All right. Okay, this is going to get us to the end of the show tonight. And lots of content. My goodness gracious. And I'm running out of energy. What I really need is some caffeine. I don't have any caffeine. And I haven't had any caffeine. But boy, I really wish I'd have some caffeine. Why do these diets have to be so regimented? You can't have no ice. You can't have caffeine. So let me bring up the email. Bada bing, bada boom. Let me drag this over here. And don't want you guys to see that. All right, so let's go to comments. And I got an email from Jack. He said, hey, Todd, in your last podcast, you said you didn't know anyone that uses a Windows Phone. I've been using one every day for about a year now, and that includes when we were at CS last year, also at CS 2013. The F5 team all had Windows phones as well. I've also been using Windows 8, 8.1 on my main office computer for over 2 years now, and I have a second computer running Windows 8 for a couple of years in evaluation Windows storage spaces as a replacement for my home server. I've had no problems using Windows 8. I look at the new start screen the same way you look at and use Windows 7 start button. Windows 8.1 is much quicker starting up and more fluid in Windows 7 unit I'm using for video and audio processing. So I guess there are more people using Windows Phone 8 and Windows 8 than you thought. your friend and fellow geek, Jack. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate that. And I kind of remember that now that you were using one of those Windows phones. So cool stuff. And he was the only one that sent an email in. So that's going to kind of wrap us up, folks. We're going to get you out of here. Thanks for tuning in, listening, or watching the show. I definitely appreciate it. And we'll be back with you Saturday morning for the new media show. Again, I'll be out for 2 shows next week. We'll have guest host in. Please treat him nicely. And look forward to having a different perspective from someone else. But again, it's been my pleasure to bring you the show tonight. Send me an email at geeknews@gmail.com if you so desire to communicate. And consider becoming an insider at 6.7 cents a day or $2 a month. We appreciate everyone, whether you're giving $2, $5, $10, $15, $25 a month or one-time contributions. It all is the same. So thanks so much, everyone. Everyone, see you next time. We'll take care. And aloha. All right, Ustream. See you later.